Hey everyone, I'm Sam. Today we're gonna dive into something that is quietly costing you money, messing with your relationships, and probably draining your sanity. And it all starts with one of the biggest, craziest business deals in history, and it ends with a mental tool you can use every single day. $44 billion. That's what Elon Musk spent to buy Twitter. And a huge piece of his reasoning was his belief that the company was lying about the number of bot accounts. Now, that one number is a huge deal. It affects advertising revenue, real user engagement, everything. The sheer scale of that decision, resting on that one statistic, is just wow. And that's exactly how we have to look at this. Forget the stock prices for a second. This is a massive, massive cautionary tale. It shows how easily even the most brilliant people can be swayed by data that just seems convincing. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about billionaires and giant tech companies. This is about you. Because let's be real, you're making the same kind of cognitive mistakes, just with smaller price tags. And I know this because I almost did it myself. A few years ago, I was this close to putting my entire life savings into a project, all based on a single graph that looked absolutely unbreakable. It was a lesson I was very, very lucky to learn before it cost me everything. So let's jump into it. That $44 billion mistake. Musk's whole move was super influenced by claims about bot percentages that, when you really look at him, turned out to be questionable at best. It's the perfect, high-stakes opening scene for our main topic today. And this is the part you really gotta get. Being smart is not a shield. It will not protect you from misinformation. In fact, as you're about to see, sometimes it can make you even more likely to fall for it. The Twitter deal is just a giant flashing neon sign that shows even visionaries can get tripped up if they don't have the right tools to think with. To make this super real for you, I'm going to share my own story. This is where the idea of weaponized lies stops being some abstract concept and becomes personal. Because it's not just happening in boardrooms, it's happening in slick presentations and convincing charts that are aimed directly at people like you and me. So back in 2023, I got pitched on this crypto project. The white paper was slick, it was filled with testimonials from these so-called experts, and they even had a huge partnership announcement. For 3 days, I watched what I thought was this incredible skyrocketing growth, and I was ready to go all in. But what was actually happening was a really clever lie. This is what they showed me. Looks amazing, right? Like 3 months of steady, explosive growth. But they had manipulated the time axis. It wasn't 3 months of data. It was just 3 days of trading, stretched out to make it look like a sure thing. It's a classic trick, and it is dangerously effective. And that right there is a perfect example of what the neuroscientist Daniel Levitin calls weaponized lies. It's when people use manipulated data like a weapon to get you to do something, to buy, to vote, to believe, that's usually against your own best interest. This isn't just a theory anymore, it's the world we're all trying to get through. Now here comes the big aha moment of this whole thing. The most dangerous trap isn't always some big, complicated lie. Sometimes it's a simple truth that's been cleverly twisted. And one of the most powerful tools they use to do this is a word you hear every single day: average. So when you hear that the average salary for a job is, say, $80,000, or the average return on some investment is 10%, what does that actually mean? Most people have no idea that there are 3 different ways to calculate an average, and each one can tell a completely different story. You've got the mean, the median, and the mode. So check this out. Imagine you're in a room with 9 people who all make 50 grand a year, and one other person in there makes $1.55 million, while the mean average income in that room is $200,000. A politician or a con artist will always use the mean in that scenario to make things look amazing, when the median or the middle value would give you a much more honest picture of what's really going on. Alright, the next trap we fall into isn't mathematical, it's psychological. Our brains, they're not really designed to be calculators sifting through data. They are designed to love a good story. And that is exactly why a compelling conspiracy theory can feel more true than a mountain of hard evidence. Conspiracy theories give us what our brains crave: a simple story with good guys and bad guys. I'll admit, I got sucked down a rabbit hole once about tech companies secretly suppressing certain political voices. The story was just so powerful, it confirmed my suspicions, and the evidence, it just felt so real. It's an easy trap to fall into because it speaks the language our brains are built to understand. So if we can't always trust our gut, what can we trust? So, what do we do? How do we fight back against all this? We can't just rely on being smart. We need a system, a practical framework, a mental toolkit for defending ourselves in this age of information warfare. So I came up with a simple mental model for this. And yes, the name is a little on the nose, and that's on purpose. It's called the Lies Framework. And it's just a quick and dirty way to check out information before you let it into your brain. So let's run through it. L, look for the source. You gotta ask, who benefits if I believe this? I, investigate the methodology. How they get this data. Is this a real study or just some poll on a random website? E, examine the context. What are they leaving out? What's the bigger picture? And S, the most important one, skepticism with self-awareness. You have to ask yourself, why do I want this to be true? And that brings us to a really tough truth. Being smart without being humble is dangerous. It doesn't actually make you better at finding the truth. It just makes you a better lawyer for your own biases. You become an expert at finding evidence that confirms what you already decided to believe. Okay, let's wrap this all up with one final challenge. We've gone through the problem, we have a framework for a solution. Now I want to talk about what I think is the single most valuable skill you can build for the crazy decade ahead. And that skill is radical intellectual honesty. It's not just about spotting other people's lies. It's about being ruthless when you examine your own assumptions and your own emotional attachments to certain ideas. In an age where AI can generate anything, this internal filter is the only one you can ever truly rely on. So here is my challenge to you. For the next 7 days, before you share an article, before you make an investment, before you get into an argument, just stop and ask yourself this one simple question. If you can't come up with a clear answer, you're not thinking, you're just confirming. Because in the end, when AI makes it nearly impossible to tell what's real and what's fake, the only firewall that's going to matter is the one inside your own head. You are the final line of defense. Always remember this difference. Are you actively thinking, or are you just confirming? In a world that is drowning in lies, the truth isn't what you just believe, it's what you can prove and what you're willing to question about yourself. Thanks for tuning in.